We are who we thought we were, and that's Super Bowl contenders. We're back. We are back. I loved this game. I loved it. I love how the fourth quarter looked. Forget how the Steelers offense and how they sucked in the first three quarters. Look at what they did in the fourth, because it doesn't matter. We have the clutchest quarterback in the league, Kenny Pickett, when the fourth quarter comes around. Fourth quarter time means it's Kenny clutch time. Also, defense clutch too, because you saw them step up, 0 points, fourth quarter. And, we had 3 and outs too. Like, that was the first time that was taking place throughout the whole game. Defense was stepping up, offense stepping up, everyone's stepping up. I just think this is who we are. And it's incredible at this point. It's artwork in a way. It's a masterpiece. The Steelers win ugly, volume 4 of 2023. And you got all the elements. I already talked about the offense looking bad the first three quarters. Although I do think there's some added elements or some added things to talk about with our offense early in this game, because I don't think it was as bad as the score was indicating. I know we had 3 points through the first half, and then we got the touchdown after TJ got the pick. But I'll talk about that a little bit more. I think our offense looked better than some of our lowest of lows this season. We're talking the Texans game, the Browns game, and even the Ravens game last week. There were some signs of optimism, but it's just awesome that everything came together in the fourth quarter, and we weren't left with more questions than answers. I think we got some answers here, man. Like, this team's built for big moments. This team's built for fourth quarter. Like, we're going to grind it out, but ultimately we're mentally tougher than them. More mentally tougher than you. We're going to out physical you when it really counts, both offensively and defensively, man. Like, I was really impressed. But the elements of this masterpiece, like, let me break this down to you, because this is what we've been seeing all season. This is what we've been seeing a lot through our Steelers fanhood tenure, to be honest with you. This is just how we win games. Like, it's the Pittsburgh way. You win ugly. You got the offense sucking majority of the game. Defense makes a game-changing play to help the offense, and the TJ Watt pick set us up with short field. Luckily, the offense got it. Hell of a play by Najee. That one little dump off to Kenny Pickett, or from Kenny Pickett to Najee. He makes the dude miss. Almost, his momentum's carrying him out of bounds. I don't know how he made that stop. I didn't know Najee had that nimble feet. Stays in bounds, hurdle the dude, gets it to the one, and then Kenny closes out with the QB sneak. So offense sucks majority of the game. Defense makes a game-changing play to help out the offense. Tomlin loses a challenge. And I think the announcers were unfair to Tomlin on that, because they kept showing the replay of the dude's toe being in bounds, his second toe being in bounds, the toe tap. But they would stop the replay and not let it keep going, because if you would have saw the rest of it, his like side of his foot lands out of bounds. Like, I would have challenged it too. I think Tomlin was right for challenging it. But I think there was something fishy going on there, because it would not replay the totality of Puka finishing the catch. It was weird. Like, yeah, he got the toe in, but then if you look at the rest of the foot, it starts to roll out of bounds. I didn't get that. Tomlin losing challenge. We have penalties galore, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot all over the place. We're outplayed by our opposition for the majority of the game. The other team is folding like a cheap suit with drops and field goal misses. But then again, the fourth quarter comes around. Kenny starts lighting it up. He's the clutchest quarterback in the league when the fourth quarter rolls around. Swear to God. And then, yeah, we just play complimentary football, close the deal, win the game. And we also even had another element that makes this a full Steelers masterpiece, full Steelers artwork of a win, is we had a fumble scare on a punt return by Calvin Austin. It wasn't Gunner this time, but I guess that stuff just passes on to the next guy, unfortunately. But I loved that game. I think we build off that a lot going forward. This was different from the Ravens game last week, where we came off that win. It's like, bro, we didn't look competent for 3.5 quarters. Not only the offense, but the defense got bailed out with all those Ravens drops that would have been touchdowns. I feel like we took this game. Like, we put our stamp on this game. Like, this was ours for the taking in the fourth quarter. It wasn't the Rams screwing themselves over. Now, they did a little bit of that. They left the door open, but you could probably go through every game throughout today, a ton of games across the league, and that's going to happen. People or teams leave opportunities out there, and it's up to the opposition to take advantage. I just think the Ravens from last week gave us so many opportunities to stay in the game. Whereas this one, it felt more like a normal flow of an NFL game, if you get what I'm saying. But we'll talk more about that. More signs of optimism, not only for the fourth quarter. There were some things I was liking in the first three quarters that aren't necessarily going to show up on the stat sheet. But let me see who's tuning in. Big win, man. That's a big win, especially after the Ravens won today and the Browns won. Browns get to 4-2. Ravens get another win. So yeah, we had to win. It's crazy how you guys tell me if you felt the same way. After the first two quarters, it's like, bro, how are we going to keep winning like this? Like, is this just where we are? We're just going to be putting 3 points up every half. And honestly, that is the Steeler way right now. That is the art. That is the masterpiece that we're putting out there. It's happened for pretty much all of our wins except for the Raiders game this year. Pretty much all of the games have been this way. Do we just accept it? Is this just where we're at? And if it is, if we could have fourth quarters like this every time, I'm for it. Because that was definitive. That was us taking the game. That was playing Steeler football. Like, yeah, this is us just simply outplaying you. This is not us waiting for you to make a mistake or have a missed opportunity or do something stupid. No, this is us playing good ball down the stretch. So that's what I liked. That's what I really liked. All right, we got a lot of people in here. Shout out. Coy Harris in the house. Quan Summer. I recognize a bunch of these names, man. Appreciate you guys. C. Holmes 12. Steeler Most 7. Steelers Most 7 says offensive play calling is still trash. Get rid of Canada. We got lucky again. Here's the problem. Like, he has to get credit for the fourth quarter, no? He has to get credit. He has to get some credit. I'm with you, though. It shouldn't be taking this long. The fourth quarters, these late in game situations show me we got the guys to do this, to be a complete football team, to be a complete offense for 4 quarters. So why aren't we doing it? Why are we waiting so long? Is it Canada being so slow on adjustments? Does he need to get better at scripting plays right off the bat? Like, he needs to go to like a seminar. He needs to go to a class, a Kyle Shanahan like master. You know, they have that. You ever see those ads on the internet for like master classes from certain people in their respective professions? They're like top of their games, right? Matt Canada might need to do that. He might need to go see like Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or something. Get some better scripted plays. Get some better game planning going into the first quarter. Black and Yellow Fella says, call it how you see it, but we got the dub, Deke. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. JDub238's in the house. Cam Sack says the Pickler strikes again. Does that count as a game-winning drive? Does that count as a game-winning drive? Fourth quarter comeback. Yeah, just add those good stats to his record. Add those good clutch stats to his record, man. He keeps getting it done when it matters. And I got this take on Pickett. I'm working it out. I've been thinking about it a little bit. I don't want it to come off as blasphemy or anything, but I feel like the dude is a Steeler quarterback. We're seeing that before our eyes, before our very eyes. It's not always pretty. It can get ugly. But when the game's close, if we keep within one score, if we can keep within striking distance, he keeps delivering, man. And we saw that out of Ben throughout his whole career. Terry Bradshaw was like that. These dudes are gritty. These guys are underrated when it came to how the media and around the league view these guys. And I'm fine with that. I just want a winner. I want a guy that is able to stare adversity in the face. When things aren't going good, he responds. And that's what Pickett is showing. If you want to talk smack on him and say he needs to be better for the first 3 quarters or whatnot, or he needs to put a complete game together, whatever. Like, I still think that's there. That's out there in front of us. He's got the talent. I think he's got all that. He's got the skill set. He's got the throws. Like, you can't tell me, too, from seeing these throws that he's making, like, he doesn't have an NFL arm. He doesn't have the capabilities to be a really good NFL quarterback. You can't tell me that. I think he's got the first checkbox marked off for what you're looking for out of like a franchise quarterback, a QB1. And that's stepping up in the big moments, man. That's stepping up in the big moments. Score Harris says Akello got 8 up. Yeah, it was a very nice moment. It was a blissful moment to see Akello get the flag on Deontay, which we thought was going to seal the game, get the first down, but then Deontay gets the penalty call for taunting, which was such a soft call. The NFL is getting so soft with this stuff. All he did was the silence, putting the finger up to his mouth. That's all he did. Come on. Really? I didn't like the call on the George Pickens block either early in the game. I know they were saying, "Oh, this is the crackback block." The NFL's really, really trying to crack down on this. Come on, man. It's football. It's football. No, Gary says Kenny did a great job in the second half, stepping up in the pocket. That made a huge difference. Jacob Jefferson says Levi does need to be canned. Yeah. He needs to get better. So does Pat P. I was thinking this about Pat P as the game went on, though. He had 1 or 2 plays early on that were kind of bad, where he looks slow, he looks old. At the same time, he's not killing us as the game goes on. It's always like 1, 2, maybe 3 plays throughout a game that pop up out of nowhere, but it's not consistent with Pat P like it is with Levi Wallace. Pat P is like, okay, he might give up something first quarter, maybe something in the second quarter, maybe something in the fourth. You know what I mean? It's more sporadic. But Levi Wallace, it just seems pretty consistent that the offense can single him out and pick on him. So maybe Pat P's not as bad as we're ripping him for. But I think the secondary as a whole still needs some work. We could use an upgrade at the trade deadline. Obviously, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. There's guys we've talked about. Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson. But it's just nice to see JPJ getting out on the field more. He could work on his tackling, but in coverage, dude is locked down. He just continues to make plays for this defense. He continues to step up. You got to love that. I'm seeing a lot of Nick Herbigs in the chat. Yeah, 100%. Alex Highsmith and Herbig, man, doing an excellent job across from TJ Watt, getting pressure on Stafford. Excellent job. Highsmith was obviously out there for way more, but he was consistently getting there. And then TJ Watt with the pick. You know, the Rams were doubling TJ. He didn't have the big TJ game as an edge rusher, but he still makes the play. He still finds a way. It's almost like LeBron James. If LeBron James isn't putting up 30, 35 points, he's still finding some other way to contribute to the team and contribute to the win and be the leader that he is. Assist, rebound, whatever. And TJ Watt did that with the pick. Hell of a read. Hell of a read by TJ. And that's what we needed coming right out of halftime because what was the score? Yeah, we were down 9-3, right? We were down 6 points. Rams got the ball, and we needed to stop because if they went up double digits, you know what you're thinking. It's like, man, this feels like we're climbing up Mount Everest to get over that point margin. It's just how the offense is playing early. It just makes you feel that way. But obviously, we're capable of scoring at a pretty decent clip, as you saw in the fourth quarter. But, man, that was a huge play by the defense, by TJ Watt. And thank God that we punched that in. We found a way. That was one of those things, like, defense puts you in an amazing position. You have to get 7 here. You have to get 7 because that would have taken the wind out of our sails if we would have kicked the field goal. I know it wouldn't have technically, right? It still would have been a 3-score game. You're still in it. But for the defense to step up like that and give the offense literally 10 yards, like, all you need is 10 yards and we get 7 points and go up in the game because the Rams kicker kept missing field goals and extra points. You just had to get it done, and they did. They found a way. Offense found a way. Humongous one. I like this call. Montravius Adams is quietly money. He had an awesome game. I don't know what to make of this defense at times because he had a good game. I thought the front 7 had a good game. Like, we stopped the run good, but then it's just not consistent because the Rams had a ton of yards on the ground. Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, and Stafford even had a run. They combined for 135. And why did it feel like? I think it's because how we finished. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. We only had 86 yards on the ground, but it felt like it was a lot more than that. Whereas the Rams had 135 yards, it felt like less. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does. To me, at least. Are you guys with me? Didn't it feel like we had more than 86 just because of how that fourth quarter went? And with the Rams, 135, it seems like too much. It seems like too much for what I guess the impact was of their running game. Because it didn't feel like that. They had some nice chunk plays with Stafford getting it to Kupp or Puka. And yeah, they were consistently handing it off, but we did a good job keeping them in check. We were bend but don't break outside of the play before halftime where Stafford broke contain and chucked it down. Like, that's just again a bad play by our secondary. Levi Wallace was there. If you want to blame him, go ahead. But that probably could have been a pickable ball. Stafford just chucked it up. There was 2, 3, 4 guys around there, a couple Rams guys, a couple Steelers. Yeah, Puka, I didn't give Puka enough credit going into this game. I didn't think he'd be doing us like that. I thought if we stopped Kupp, whoever we'd have on Puka, we'll be able to at least hold their own, but that wasn't the case. Kupp helped us out, too, with some of those drops early on. Pitt Steelers fan 1 says, Najee played fantastic today. And y'all trolls still hating. Y'all miserable. I can't say fantastic. He closed out, though. I appreciate that. He closed out good. It's just such a mixed bag with Najee because you get runs like you saw in the first quarter where he trucked over the Rams linebacker and then stood up and was talking smack to him. I love that. It's like, dude, you should be doing that more often. You're 6'2", like 230, 240. You should be running over dudes. But then you'll get some other handoffs where he does have an open lane up the middle. He tries to bounce it outside and do some speed running back type of stuff. You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. Just run it up the middle and run over people. Leave that for Jaylen Warren. But ultimately, yes, he closed out good in the fourth quarter. He did have good runs. I thought him and Jaylen Warren looked like they're supposed to as a tandem. Thunder and lightning. It's a good one. I don't know. Do you watch my Madden streams? Is this where you got this comment from? He says, that one TD on Wallace, Stafford threw it up with his eyes closed. Yeah. Yeah. That's what a lot of my Madden opponents do too. They'll just chuck it up and rely on their God Squad players. All right, let me get to some other things maybe I missed. How much more time we got on this stream? But yeah, we got some time. I wanted to talk about, going back to what I said at the beginning, why I felt like there were some signs of optimism early on with this offense, even though the scoreboard didn't indicate it. In my opinion, we looked like a competent offense, which is something I don't think we could say in the Ravens game for 3.5 quarters. I don't think we could say at all in the Texans game, really, outside of maybe 1 or 2 drives in the second half. And then going back to the Browns game, we just didn't really look like an NFL offense or a competent offense for the majority of the time. Whereas, even though it was only 3 points, we did move the ball. The problem was we kept screwing ourselves over with penalties. it's either O-line penalties or George Pickens doing the crackback block. We could have got a touchdown there. That was an excellent third down throw from Pickett to Deontay Johnson. We got down within like the 10-yard line. Crackback block takes us back. I think we had to settle for the field goal, right? Is that where we kicked like the 51, 52-yarder? Ball is drained. And shout out to him because he continues to be money. He might, if he keeps making them like this, he might make the Pro Bowl over Justin Tucker this year, and which he should. I mean, if he's batting 100% on the kicks, knock on wood, why not? He's making them from everywhere. And they're center cut. These aren't even questionable. These are center cut. Not hitting off the goalpost and bouncing in, not barely squeaking by. There's no doubt about any of these balls kicks. Shout out to him, too. But you guys get what I mean? I thought our offense was showing some stuff. The problem was it still only resulted in 3 points, and the defense was leaking oil at times where they couldn't be the stout defense that we're used to seeing from this Steelers team to complement a little bit more lackluster offense. Because that's the problem right now. I think we could get away with, not being as good for the most part on offense, as long as our defense is 08 Steelers type of defense where we're absolutely lights out. We're just not that defense, though. I think our 2022 defense as a whole was better than this one right now. We were more put together. At least we'll say the end of the year. The end of the year defense in 2022, I feel like had a better mojo, had just was more put together than what we're seeing right now out of this defense early in 2023. But it still is early. Like, we're seeing some signs. We get Cam Hayward back. My only concern is the secondary, though. That's my only concern with this defense. Humongous One says it is Cam Hayward, Deke. He's going to help. He's absolutely going to help. But we're getting by. We're probably a top 10 defense. I don't know about yards given up, but I think in terms of total impact, us getting turnovers, splash plays, stepping up when it counts, being bend but upright, we got to be at least a top 10 defense right now, at least. So there were some refreshing signs. I think Pickett was doing some questionable things early on. Tomlin said at halftime that Rams were bringing some of those blitz packages that we weren't ready for. And you could see Pickett was off. He was missing some reads when they were bringing the heat. He needed to get the ball out quick, and he wasn't. He went back to doing his spin out of the pocket thing, which got him in more trouble. And sometimes I thought the read was there. There was one where Connor Hayward flashed across the middle of the field. I think he probably could have just dumped it off. But again, if that's the worst of our problems right now, I'll take it because we're finding ways to win. And this one felt a lot better than it did last week. Again, this one felt like we took it. We played our brand of football, the brand of football we're supposed to be playing. We executed. We made the plays. We didn't rely on the Rams to mess things up. Because if you go around the league, you could go through every quarterback, you go through every offense, you could nitpick it to death and say, yeah, that 2 or 3 series stretch that you guys had in the second quarter wasn't good. Wasn't good. You could do that with every team. It's just we haven't had enough positives with this offense throughout the whole body of work to have us overlook some of our lapses, right? It feels like the sky is falling when we can't score for a 5-6 series stretch. And I get that. I do get that. But we're starting to see, man, like I'm starting to get confidence that if we do keep it close within the fourth quarter, this is going to be our MO. If we could consistently do this and step up in the fourth quarter, I'm fine with that. Because that's how we won games back in the day with Ben. It's just that we knew Ben's body of work. It's still so early with Kenny. It's still so early with Canada. A lot of these other young guys, right? We knew Ben's body of work. He came into the league guns blazing. Like he won a Super Bowl where he went, 13-0 his rookie year, won a Super Bowl his second year. So we had that trust in him that even if, offense goes through a game or two stretch, looks a little ugly, like he's going to take care of business as the season goes on. He's Ben Roethlisberger. But Kenny's starting to write his story, man. I'm loving seeing that. Malik Badger says, should have kept Terrell Edmonds. He played in the box. I didn't feel like this was a game where I missed Terrell Edmonds that bad. Keanu Neal played a decent amount. I liked him. DeMonte Casey was out there. We were seeing 2-3 making plays. Minka, obviously, this was a big Minka game. Making tackles up at the line of scrimmage, helping in the run game. And then we already talked about JPJ. D-line on Travis Adams. Ogunjobi had a nice sack. Highsmith, TJ, Herbig, Marcus Golden get into the fold too. Quan Alexander, I think we got to give him credit too. Not only just his willingness to hit, his physicality, but in coverage. That's the one thing I'm noticing. Like, we're not getting burnt by running backs in coverage like we used to. I think a big part of that's Quan Alexander. Man. Let me see if I got anything else I wanted to cover. If not, I'll read some more comments, react to them, and then we'll bounce out of here. Oh, I think that's it. Didn't get a good enough look at Dan Moore because we know that was a big topic going into this game. Should we start Dan Moore or Broderick Jones? I know most of us were leaning Broderick Jones, but I'll have to watch that again, see how Dan played. For the most part, initial reaction right now, I think the O-line held up pretty decent. Outside of the blitzes, but that's what blitzes are for them to send a free rusher that's not blocked. That's why Kenny had to get the ball out quicker than what he did. As a whole, I think the O-line did all right. Because even some of the bad run plays, I don't know if that was all on the O-line. I think that was Najee making some poor decisions in which gap to pick. Pitt Steeler fan says, is it time for Highsmith and TJ to play slot corner? They both have interceptions this year. Yeah. Yeah, and Shannon Sullivan doesn't look too hot out there either. I get your sentiment there. Julius Cooper, the run blocking in the second half was beautiful. Isaac Seumalo deserves to be praised. Yep. Dan Moore too. I just mentioned him. Dan Moore had a couple nice blocks in the run game. Mowing some dudes over. Yeah, Chooks had another. Didn't he have a really bad penalty that set us back like 10 yards? Yeah, that was unfortunate. Malik Badger says, I'm just saying I like Minka in the middle of the field. Not? So you're saying you don't like him in the middle of the field? You want him more back as the free safety? And I get that. Yeah, Julius Cooper. Isaac also recovered a fumble from Najee. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see that from 22. Put the ball on the ground. It ended up being a first down. That was actually one of our more positive plays in the first half. Najee fumbled it after like a 7-yard run, but it went past the first down marker. How do we feel about that? Let me leave this question to you guys before I bounce out of here. How do you guys feel about the ref call at the end where they said Pickett was over the line on the QB sneak, the 4th and 1 to close out the game? I didn't think he got it. I know they kept showing the replay too. It was really questionable. But I'll take it, and I'm not apologizing for it because my other Pittsburgh football team got screwed out of a terrible call this weekend. If you guys watched that Pitt Wake Forest game, it was atrocious. It's probably the worst call I've ever seen in my life. Quarterback slides 2 yards past the first down line. They marked them short, 4th and 1. And then Pitt defense blew the game with like 40 seconds left. So we lost one off a bad ref call, but maybe we squeaked one out on a questionable ref call in the Steeler game. Aiden Edwards says we didn't get bailed. Defense would have ended it anyway. I agree with you too. I just think that call might have went in our favor. But again, yeah, I'm not feeling bad about it because Pitt got screwed yesterday with the worst call I've ever seen in the history of my football watching life. And then today, Steelers were getting screwed too on some of those calls. I mean, I mentioned it. Yeah, that crackback block in the first quarter when our offense had some mojo. That one, and then the taunting call from Deontay. Like, come on, those were terrible. So we'll take it. Ball don't lie. Jay Swiss says they marked us shorter than we actually were on the third down. Oh, yeah. You're saying on the Allen Robinson catch, he was closer to the first and they put us back anyway. Okay, yeah, there you go. Another ball don't lie example on that. Remix 84 says good win. Offense still needs work. Right. We want to get a complete game from the offense. We don't want it to always come down to these fourth quarters, but at least we know if we can keep it close, this team's got it. This team's got the cojones. This team's got some moxie. They can deliver when there's adversity. That's the silver line. That's the big positive to take away what we're seeing from this offense. That's at least one consistent we're getting from these games. Not always looking pretty, which of course we do need to clean up, but when push comes to shove, they're finishing strong. But all right, I'm out of here. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to Bleach Report. Big shout out to the Steelers getting this dub. And at 4-2. Where are we at? We're in the playoffs. I don't think we're on top of the AFC North though, right? Our Ravens 5-2. They have the extra game. We're probably, I don't know, we'd probably be like the 5 or 6 seed right now then, I guess. All right. Here we go, Steelers. I will see you guys. I think I'll see you guys at some point this week again. Might talk some like trade deadline stuff for the Steelers. Maybe do a preview for next week's game. But hope you enjoyed. Have a good rest of the night. Stay safe out there. And peace.